Hi, my name is Dr. Kaye Sweetser, and I'm an assistant professor of public relations at Grady College at UGA. And it's my absolute pleasure to be here today with Dr. Spencer Tinkham's Special Topics undergraduate course in the fall 2008 semester, focusing on the election and political communication. So Dr. Tinkham asked me to come talk to the class today, and I said there was nothing I would love more to do. And then he told me it was right in the middle of my own class time where I'm across the SLC teaching myself right now. So we came up with this plan to do a quick little video and to start a discussion amongst yourselves and see how that might work. So here we go. My area of specialization is online, political communication online, how people talk about politics in non-political spaces, how they form relationships with people and then start to be more receptive to political messages when they never really even went there for a political message in the first place. These are all the types of concepts that I've investigated in the past. I know today you're talking about political socialization, so let's think for a minute what political socialization is. Political socialization is traditionally how young people come to find out about politics, come to form their own beliefs and ideas, and learn to act in regard to political activity. And so traditionally, people are politically socialized from their parents. Think about how you felt about a particular candidate or politics when you were in 6th grade. You didn't really have the types of ideas that you have now because you were younger and you were looking for cues from your parents. Well, today, with political socialization, we have so many more options and messages coming at us than we ever did, even as recent ago as when you were in 6th grade, certainly further when I was in 6th grade, and etc., etc. So online, we now have the ability to communicate our messages with much more interest to different audiences, breaks down geographic barriers, and allows you to have more of a conversation especially with someone who is not located anywhere close to you than we ever were able to do before. And so one of the important components to me in political socialization is political discourse and how we talk about politics and the ways in which we can sort of access, if you will, to use an online term, the ways in which we can access political information in the first place. So I'd like to talk about some areas that you can access political information today in this particular election that you may not have had when you were younger. More and more through every election cycle, Pew Internet and American Life Project finds that exponentially the number of people who are accessing the internet for political information has grown. So first it started with people going online to candidate websites, and then they were doing searches and looking at news articles about candidates. In the last election in 2004, they were using blogs, which was a completely new campaign technology, although not a new technology to us in general, but a new campaign technology that candidates as well as grassroots supporters were using to communicate the campaign message, both in support of a candidate as well as attacking a candidate or in opposition of a particular candidate. And so one interesting thing we know about blogs is that people who read blogs find blogs to be extremely credible sources of information. Another thing that we have going on in blogs is that if you're writing a blog and I'm reading it every day, even though I may not have ever met you, the more I read your blog, the more I enjoy the things that I'm reading, the more I connect with you as a person, and I feel as if I know you. I have an idea about what you might say next, about how you might feel about a particular issue, and I form what's called a parasocial relationship with you. A relationship with you that isn't really real. It's just something, a feeling that I have because I've never met you, but I have come to know you through a particular medium. And so through these personalized online communication tools, we very much feel as if we get to know someone, and that makes the political messaging that occurs through these tools so much more interesting. Because at times you may be reading a blog about Gossip Girl or Grey's Anatomy, And they might make a political statement on there that you don't realize is a political statement. And so because you have formed this parasocial relationship with a particular blogger, you start to feel like, oh wow, okay, that person's just talking about X, Y, and Z. And you don't see it for what it is if it were a talking head on CNN. So blogs are one mode of communication that you can use online to talk about politics. Another fun one is Facebook. I want to take a really quick poll here. Anyone who has ever befriended a candidate through Facebook, become a candidate's friend, go ahead and raise your hand and look around. And so you can see that probably a large number of the people in the class have actually used Facebook, a medium very specifically targeted to your generation and to your demographic, and you've used Facebook to connect with the candidates. I did a study with Dr. Ruth Ann Weaver-Laracy, also in public relations, and we looked at the midterm candidates' wall comments and Facebook web presence. And we found that when people like yourself would befriend a candidate and go on his or her wall, it'd be very shallow types of comments. Let's say the candidate's name is Joe Smith. Go Joe Smith, can't wait to vote for you. Hey Joe, I'm supporting you. Loved seeing you at the Super Walmart the other day. Or Joe, you really suck. Whatever the case may be. Very, very shallow comments here without much meat. Or back and forth or depth to the conversation, to the discourse that's happening. So Facebook is another mode of communication that you can use in order to talk about politics. My favorite one personally right now is Twitter. And Twitter is what they call a microblogging technology, where you're basically in 140 characters or less talking about what you're doing at this particular moment. Think of it like a Facebook status. So on Twitter, many people I've noticed more and more in my own Twitter stream, which is not political at all, I'm noticing people sharing links to YouTube videos about particular candidates, speeches or commercials or consumer-generated content, much like this video that I'm making for you. They are linking to articles or just making comments. In fact, there was a Grady student the other day who I follow on Twitter who said, I'm looking for a pink t-shirt for my particular candidate. Does anyone know where I can get one for that candidate? So she is communicating her feelings about a particular candidate, endorsing that candidate, and then asking for information back if anyone knows where she can get a t-shirt for that. So she's having a conversation with a larger group of people through this computer-mediated technology. There's so many other wonderful, fun things that you can do online, and people that you can connect with through the internet, maybe those that you know in person or those that you don't know that you can come to feel as if you know through the internet. And what I'd like for you to do now is, as we sort of close back in and come back to political socialization, I'd like for you to think about how you felt and learned about politics and what it meant to be a politically active citizen when you were in 6th grade compared to now. Where did you learn these types of behaviors and ideas, and do you still feel the same way about politics that you felt when you were in 6th grade? So I'd like for you to talk about that with one another. And then I'd also like for you, if I can add one more little conversational lecture point here, I'd like for you to think about the last person that you talked to about politics and what was the mode that you used. Was it a text message? Was it an email? Was it face-to-face? Who did you talk to when you had that political conversation? And how do you think your parents would have used that particular technology? Would they have had the same interaction through that kind of technology? So a couple of fun things to talk about. I really wish I could be there to share the conversation with you and hear how it goes, but I invite anyone to come and stop by my office. I'm in 223 Charlie in Grady, and I look forward to seeing it or talking to any of you. Have a wonderful conversation. Thanks for having me.